To all Malaysians who concerned about our economics, SMEs and property investors, my name is Gavin Tee and I would like to present to you a proposal that is how government can help SMEs and property investors in money matters. SME is rather important to the country economies. Under MIDA expected in 2020, they will be able to contribute 41% of GDP. It is the backbone of our economics. Total contribution in SME in Malaysia are far from small. Under this compared hero of CIMB in 2019 said that 98.5% of all business establishments in Malaysia are SMEs. And they are contributing, providing 5.7 million, that is 70% of total job market, the Malaysia workforce. But now, Malaysia SME sees zero cash flow for at least 3 months due to the MCO. And under the survey or study, 30% of Malaysian SMEs only have the cash flow for March, and the other 37% only for April. That means not many people are able to survive more than 3 months in terms of their cash flow. So SME are facing bankruptcies. They ask for help. Looking into this picture behind me, as Malaysia is like here, growing SME is very important. The trunk over here, they grow millions of leaves, branches, and to stay healthy on the top, this trunk, this country must fully support SME. And yes, government came up with SRF Special Relief Facility, which believed to benefit to SME. However, in general, it doesn't really help overall. There are still big numbers of SME are struggling, and particularly on the tourism industry, property-related industry, service industry, professional industry. They are not benefiting much from these relief facilities. Now, for all these difficulties that is not benefiting overall, one of the solution or proposal I can have is based on properties. I'm proposing here the bank with the government's initiative to get property of SME or individual investor to refinance it to 80%, as most of the SMEs owns properties, and the loan sum maybe is only like 40 to 60%. To make things easy and fast, refinancing is the only solution, where banks are allowed to refinance up to 80%, and the government under this credit guarantee corporation should guarantee 20%. Therefore, from 80% plus the 20% the guaranteed by the bank, there will be only 60%. That practically for 18 months there's no risk for the bank, and the bank enjoying getting interest without having difficulties to provide funds to the SME. This is to speed up the release of the fund before they are forced to close down. Some SME just need a short relief. It doesn't need to be arms giving. They just need a short-term fund. And it can be in an overdraft facility concept as well. Other than refinancing, I propose government must extend the moratorium to 12 months, where other countries are doing the same. And the important thing is the SME may enjoy good income last year, but most of those profits are being spent for the first quarters. So I propose the corporate tax for the last year's one corporate tax should rebate or reduce 25% in order for them to compensate on the year's loss in 2020. Our most important, real estate market is very, very important to the economics and the SME. So I propose to rescue and to stimulate the real estate. There are numbers of items I want to propose. Number one, to launch an 18 months campaign. Number two, to boost the home ownership. Number three, open up commercial property for foreign investors, particularly to those key economic factors. Number four, to rescue the secondary market. And number five, financing policy. So backed by government initiative. And number six, tax incentive and stimulating package must be attractive and immediate. So it will have to be a 18 months campaign, comes with a lot of AMP and initiatives and incentives. So the first one we were talking about boost the home ownership, which is very important, and government has been doing the same for the past 10 years for the first time home buyer, which I believe this should be carry on and giving even more. But I want to propose something new here. Anybody moving for their own stay house to another new house may be upgraded or downgraded, should enjoy some incentive. There are a lot of needs to move house after this MCO. So I propose that there should not be a RPGT if they sold their house and moving to another house for own stay. And there should be only one MOT, as when they sold their house, the buyer have already paid for MOT, so you can waive the MOT for the new purchase. That is to encourage people transact their own stay house. That does not cause speculation in the market. Now, other than MOT, the LTV restriction should remove also for those own stay moving. And of course, it does come with the AMP backup because this is something that we need to encourage. The other thing we want to talk about is foreign investor could help our property market now by not affecting our locals' interest. So my proposal was reported on Yes paper is don't restrict foreigners to buy commercial. A simple reason buying commercial has no threat to the housing situations for the locals, and residential commercial are normally mutually exclusive. Now, for example, hotel below 400 square feet are not affecting any local interest for the housing needs. Now, another thing, price as a guideline may not be right, as the small size of commercial properties in January are below 1 million, but it's high in per square feet. For example, 3,000 per square foot with 200 square feet is only 600,000. And those are what foreigner could purchase, supposed to be, as the local may not be able to afford a 3,000 square feet per square foot kind of properties. And I believe this is not affecting the locals. Instead, it puts up the economics. Another thing is we should make our policy simple as possible, easy for the foreigner to understand. This is because the fact Malaysia needs foreign direct investment and the tourists to stimulate our economy. We want foreigners to have a strong link to Malaysia, are usually ownership of properties representing a strong attachment. Once they stay here, they will study, they will travel and invest or even get medical attention. And definitely they will become our ambassador. And that is part of the way to recover our economy. The important point here is the restrictions should not be across the board, but maybe selectively imposed wherever needed. For example, shop lot and hotel, they are two different commercial properties. The minimum price imposed across the board is not right and not healthy, not reasonable. To further protect the local, government may just restrict the foreigner to purchase, for example, the link houses, shop lot, but giving exemption for purpose built for medical and industrial purpose. In actual fact, the 1 million restriction somehow forced the developer to increase the price to qualify, and that caused price hike. Another proposal to government is the taxes that has to come from government initiative. I propose any property purchased during the 18 months campaign should enjoy 0 RPGT. Now listen carefully, it's not during this campaign you sell your property to enjoy free RPGT, but when you purchase during this 18 months, you enjoy 0 RPGT if you sell your property within the next 10 years. Now, this is the only way to encourage people, the buyer, to purchase now. Instead, you encourage people who purchase earlier to sell now. The RPGT should, for the time purchase, and valid for 0 RPGT for the next 10 years. The other thing I propose to reduce RPGT to 5% during this 18 months campaign And as for MOT stamping fees, during this 18 months, the government should consider 500,000 and below to enjoy a free MOT, the stamping fees. And from 500 to 1 million for 1%, and 1 million and above 2%. And that is to encourage the transaction. However, whatsoever, to ease the transaction, the most important thing is still financing the loan. Another very interesting thing is, I would like to propose to government and the bank for the purchase of a secondary market, allow them to only serve interest within the next 24 months. That doesn't take advantage or affects the bank's profit or interest, but it helps a lot for the people who want to own a house at a very low price within this time to own a house. And to stimulating the market, I propose the government allow the third residential property LTV to 80% from the past 70%. Other than that, I propose the government to seriously look into another industry that affecting a lot of SMEs, that is the tourism industry. I personally believe by coming up with our property and travel newspapers that we are very competitive to regain a regional market share when the virus is gone. I believe tourism is the fastest to come back once the situation gets normal. It's not what people think. It's the first to get hit. It's the last to recover. I believe tourism is the earliest one, faster one to recover. There are many reasons. You can just study it. Now, that can learn from China when it first opened up and recovered. You can see the shopping revenge, tourism revenge. I still believe strongly Malaysia will get this immediately when things over. It's much faster than manufacturing or agriculture. So government, please look into tourism industry seriously, which are much badly affected and not being taken care of. And the recovery of tourism definitely help a lot in properties. The hotels and short-term stay will be immediately being benefit from the recovery. So please don't neglect, don't abandon to rescue tourism industry. Property market is very important for the economy recovery. To rescue the secondary market is rather important, is the next I want to propose. The neglected secondary market might cause a real estate collapse if the governments and the bank choose not to take immediate action. At the end of the day, the government help in the past year have not much stimulating effects to the secondary market. Stimulating the secondary market may have many positive multipliers effect. As what this has been articles reported on my proposals on the newspaper to rescue the secondary market. At the moment, the government is mainly helping the primary market try to sell off the unsold overhang or oversupplies unit. But the cooling measure remains, such as RPGT and the straight financing condition are still there. Hence, that is a minimal impact on the overall market except for the first-time home buyers. At the end of the day, the government's help doesn't have much stimulating effect. Now, stimulating the secondary property market doesn't increase the supply or add into the overhang problem. Instead, the increase of transaction means more taxes collected by the government, while professionals like lawyers, real estate agents, tax consultants, interior designers, and even furniture retailers are benefiting from the increased business. Hence, there are many positive multiplier effects without adding to the oversupply and overhang problems. So the current situation really does not favor to the subsales market. The condition for the owner to sell the secondary market property is much more difficult than the primary market. It is already considered difficult in the primary market due to the low loan approval rate. The second thing, due to the valuation, which is very subjective. For example, while the primary market enjoys a good value, the secondary market generally having 20 to 40% lower valuation, which causes much more difficult on the secondary market financing. Ladies and gentlemen, for what I believe to rescue the real estate market is rather important for our economy recovery, for the retailers and the individual home buyers and investors. Once again, I want to thank to everyone who listened to my proposals, and I hope you support it by sharing this video to as many people as possible. Let's make a better Malaysia, me and you, and the government. Thank you.
重现江湖。